Huge historic news from the White House. Peace between Russia and Ukraine is now a real possibility. There's a lot of ground to cover. I don't want to be overly optimistic. We don't like to overpromise and underdeliver, but all of it thanks to President Trump. Unlike every other world leader, he was able to pull this off. Unlike every other world leader, he's willing to expend political capital. Now, pause for a moment and think about how historic this really is. On Friday, we were in Alaska. That's less than 3 days ago. President Trump was in Alaska meeting with Vladimir Putin. Putin hadn't been on U.S. soil in 10 years. And just 48 hours later, the commander-in-chief did something that no other president would even dream of or even be willing to take a risk on. Take a look at your screen. He got all major NATO leaders to drop everything they were doing, take a weekend transatlantic flight to Washington, D.C. for this huge meeting at the White House with the Ukrainian President Zelensky. Now, these world leaders are now all praised. It was only Friday that Trump haters and the state-run legacy media mob, the Democratic Party, they were telling you, every American, that Trump's peace negotiations with Putin were an embarrassment, a failure. He got schooled. Now, Senator Chris Murphy calling the meeting a disaster for the war in Ukraine, an embarrassment for our country. You know, few thought that Donald Trump could pull it off. Here it is Monday, and look at all the people. They're all at the White House. Why were all of Europe's leaders at the White House praising President Trump in less than 3 short days? He's moving at the speed of Trump. Now, the left in this country has been rooting for Trump to fail on every front and for this horrible war to what? Continue? More dying, more death? As President Trump pointed out, he could negotiate a total unconditional surrender from Vladimir Putin, and we could get a Moscow and St. Petersburg and more, and the left would still be unhappy. Take a look.
I said that if in the
key issue, they're all, they all want the killing to stop. By the way, don't you? Don't you think it's time? How many more Russian soldiers need to die? How many more innocent men, women, and children in Ukraine have to die? Take a look.
We've had a very successful day thus far, and important discussions as we work to end the killing and stop the war in Ukraine. We're all working for the same goal, very simple goal. We want to stop the killing, get this settled.